Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Neenah City Council for December 6th, 2017. Welcome, everyone. First item of business is the roll call. The clerk will call your names. Please answer the clerk and also sign in on the roll call machine, please.
Alderman Lendrum.
Here.
Hillstrom.
Here.
Bates.
Here.
Boyett.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here.
Coons.
Here.
Holno.
Here.
Lang. Here. Erickson.
Here.
Okay, now. There we go. There we go. All members are present. We have a quorum present. The Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be led by Alderman Polno.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk's term is on vacation. Deputy Clerk is here. Having a little issue with the agenda. While she's working on that, we'll get started. Figure it out. Item number 2 is Mayor Crawford's appointment of Scott Belter to fill the unexpired term of Jane Botensack on the Committee on Aging. This term will expire September of 2019. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second to confirm the appointment of Scott Belter to the Committee on Aging. All in favor of that motion will signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Unanimous. That's unanimous. And then the clerk will be going down to swear these two new, one's a new appointment, one's a reappointment. So also item number B, Mayor Crawford's reappointment of Forrest Bates on the Neenah Menasha Sewage Commission. This term will expire December 2020. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve Mayor's appointment of reappointment of Forrest Bates to Neenah Menasha Sewage Commission. Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Palmer, seconded by Council President Stevenson, to approve the reappointment of Forrest Bates on the Neenah Menasha Sewage Commission. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That's also unanimous. Clerk will go down where I'm in.
Scott. I thought you may have had some biography. You might say some words about it.
Yeah, usually it's a
Okay.
Before we swear Scott in, Scott, why don't you come up to the microphone and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to serve, and we'd appreciate it.
Well, I'm Scott Belter. I'd like to thank Mr. Crawford for giving me this opportunity to be on this committee. I had the pleasure of working 42 years at Neenah Paper, While my time there, I was on the EAP, safety coordinator, and also I'm a volunteer at Memorial Park in Neenah. And anytime I get involved with something, I give 100%. So once again, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity, and I'm going to listen to the members that are on the committee right now and go from there. So I'll give it my best.
Thank you. Horace, do you have anything you want to add, or you've been doing a great job on the commission?
Thank you. I
We-
want to thank you and the alderman for allowing me to,
Hey, you can't give him instructions.
yeah, okay.
I guess you can, can't you?
Yeah, she can. I want to thank you, the mayor, and the alderman for reappointing me. I do enjoy the sewage commission, and I like, to look out for the interests of Neenah. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate both of you stepping up to the plate and taking this on. Go ahead. Scott and Horace, go up to the microphone. The clerk will swear you both in.
Scott Boulder.
Having been appointed
States,
and the Constitution of the State,
Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge
the member
of the Committee on Aging
best of my ability.
I, Forrest Bates,
having been appointed
having been appointed
to the Neenah Menasha Sewerage Commission
to the Neenah Menasha Sewage Commission
of the City of Neenah,
of the City of Neenah,
Winnebago County,
Winnebago County,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of a member
the duties of a member
of the Neenah Menasha Sewerage Commission
of the Neenah Menasha Sewage Commission
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you.
Well, once again, thank you two gentlemen for taking time to be part of these committees and commissions. And I've known Scott a long time, and for those of you, Scott's, I think, lived in Neenah all his life, worked at Neenah Paper for a long time, lives on the end of Apple Blossom out by the high school. And if you've been out there at all lately, you've seen he lives in the last house, and he abuts the city property, and he's done a great job volunteering for the park there and cleaning up some of the buckthorn and making it a lot nicer, in my opinion. And Todd lives right around the corner from him and has volunteered many, many hours now that he's retired from Neenah Paper, and has really done a nice job of cleaning up that corridor there for the walkers and hikers and things like that, and the bicyclists. So we appreciate, Scott, your willingness to serve, and Forrest, you also. And we'll have a new member for that commission fairly soon. I had a couple of people, and one of them has just decided not to, so we're going on Plan B for the Sewage Commission. So we'll get that done for the next meeting. I'm going to ask, we have to Okay. We will move on. Item number 3 is approval of the Committee of the Whole Budget Workshop meeting minutes, October 30th, 2017, and the council proceedings of November 14th, public budget hearing, special common council meeting. Is there a motion on them?
Motion to approve both those sets of minutes?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve those sets of minutes, previous budget workshops and hearing. Is there any discussion, corrections, additions? Seeing none, All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That's so ordered.
Mayor, is it possible to vote now?
Oh,
Yeah, see, we can.
Looks like you can vote now.
I did. I'm present now. This is roll call.
I
All right.
can't see what.
We're in the middle. I'll tell you what, let's try and
This is roll call.
all members could do this. Seems to be doing it. See if,
Well, Paulo moved and I seconded. We could try doing that.
Yep.
why don't you, all right.
Oh, that's true.
So
Yeah.
there's a motion by Paul Noes.
Oh, we're in the Bolter appointment.
We'll make the adjustment.
Okay.
There you go. All right, sorry about that. We're in the, so there was a motion and a second. Motion by Alderman Paulino, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. The roll call machine.
Get the cycle.
Oh, we're still on.
There we go.
Oh. Okay.
That motion passes 9-0. There are no public hearings tonight, no plan commission reports. Item number 6 is the public forum. Public forum is an opportunity for any member of the community to come and visit with the council, speak at any topic or that they would like, any issue that's important to them. We encourage people to come and see us and tell us what's on your mind. We ask that you give your name and your address, just for the record, and we ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to the Common Council on any topic tonight? Welcome. Come on up.
Hello again. I'm Megan Healy. I've been in front of you a couple times the past couple years. I'm here today as president of Future Neenah. My address is 1211 Skyview Drive, and my business address is 2 Neenah Center, 7th floor of 2 Neenah Center. I'm in front of you as the president of the Future Neenah board. Future Neenah, as you know, has been in our community for about 34 years. We represent, I'm not here for the board, I'm not here for the staff, but for the donors and the community at large. We have a partnership with the city of Neenah, and it's something that we think there's a strong history in. We have the same goals. We want to work together with the city of Neenah for the betterment of the community. I was present at the joint council meeting with the city of Menasha, and there was a lot of discussion and working with the city and the projects and the planning and really doing a project that's better for our community at large as well as our neighboring communities, and that is the goal of Future Neenah. And what we want to make sure is a continued relationship with the city. On your agenda tonight is a memo of understanding regarding that project. This was drafted, I don't even know when I drafted it, earlier this year sometime. It's been going back and forth between Neenah, Menasha, and our office and Future Neenah. One of the things that was added to it was Future Neenah's fiduciary obligation to honor donors' wishes. I think that is incredibly implied, not only as an attorney and my fiduciary obligations, but as a nonprofit and their obligations. But if there are any questions about Future Neenah's obligations, I'm happy to answer those today. The goal of this project is to betterment the Neenah and Menasha, not only the Loop the Lake project, but navigate Neenah, and that is the underlying goal. The funds that Future Neenah has raised in no way go to their operating budget. They don't go to employee salaries. They don't go to anything for board members. I can promise you that. And if there are questions about this memo, about our obligation, about anything that Future Neenah is doing, if there's questioning our intent, if there are questions regarding this memo, I'm happy to answer them. But most importantly, here to make sure that there is an understanding that Future Neenah wants to continue to work with the city of Neenah. We have the same goals. We have a lot of good ideas, and we want to continue to partner with the city to make this a better place to live on a daily basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here who would like to address the council? Any topic? Anyone? Seeing no one. Is there any council member, any consideration of any of the issues? Talk about it when it comes up. Or Bill? Alderman Paul, no, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Question. Yeah, in regard to the memorandum of understanding, and we have this later on our agenda, which we could probably move up if so warranted. But my question is, there was discussion at the committee about what we were presented and then what you submitted, Future Neenah submitted to the city of Neenah. And there's verbiage in here that was not submitted. There's verbiage that we have in front of us that was not submitted by the legal team from Future Neenah. I was curious, it was implied that there was verbal consent that that was okay as written. So could you weigh in on that? Because I don't know if your ears are ringing, but your name was mentioned when we were discussing the legal back and forth. And
I'll come up. I wrote the memo. I just had a baby, so I feel like it's almost a year ago. And that's how I find time now, is when I last had a child. But the changes that were made from when we originally drafted it were because of the change in the amount of money we agreed to fundraise. So we added that. The city attorney's office wanted to add a few phrases. One of them was that Future Neenah would not disperse anything unless there was consultation with both the city of Neenah and the city of Menasha. Where that came into play is that the overlying Navigate Neenah Menasha is really the fundraising arm, and then the simple project was Loop the Lake. And I say simple, it wasn't simple, but there may be other projects underneath the umbrella of Navigate Neenah and Menasha. So if we raised funds over the $1,075,122, those funds are for Navigate Neenah and Menasha. So if in the future we need to put a bench somewhere, if someone donated to Navigate Neenah Menasha, we could take money from that fund, but not until we consult with both the cities of Neenah and Menasha for doing that. So we added that phrase from my original draft. The other phrase that was requested to be added was the phrase that subject to Future Neenah's fiduciary obligations and to honor donors' wishes. They, as I indicated, I think we have an implied fiduciary obligation that we can't spend donors' money unless we're spending it with what their donative intent was. So, as an example, we can't take donors' money to Loop the Lake or Navigate Neenah Menasha and spend it on our electricity bill. We can't make a donation to Shattuck Park if something needs to be done there. The money donated to Navigate Neenah Menasha specifically needs to go towards one of those projects. The money donated to Loop the Lake needs to go to Loop the Lake. So, the city attorney requested that I add that language, and in our meeting I said I think it's implied. In no way would Future Neenah ever use money that was donated on other projects, but if you want it added, I don't have a problem adding that. The only other change that was made was how payment requests were going to be submitted. We were originally going to do that on an engineer's invoice, and instead we're doing it on the contractor's request for payment as approved by the project engineer, and that was at the request of Park and Rec.
All right.
thank you.
Bill? And I would just add, the reason for the change on the payment request is that's because that's how the city's set up to do this, through the Board of Public Works and that. So there was no other reason than that, quite frankly. So,
But like I mentioned, committee, I had requested, thinking that the mechanism where that was reviewed instead of contractor's invoice or whatever specific verbiage, have a mechanism that specifically lists the city function like the Board of Public Works in that document. That was my thought. With that being said, legally, would you have an issue with that being spelled out specifically where the mechanism was of?
I don't have an issue. All of the payment request was done at the request of the city and the Park and Rec Department because Neenah's paying all the bills, not even Menasha. Neenah's the one paying the bills.
It was just my thought that since that's the mechanism and it all runs through Board of Public Works, I thought that that should be listed in that memorandum of understanding.
That is what's listed there. Is that the procedure that's listed in there is mirrors what is done for the Board of Public Works. The same paperwork that is presented for the Board of Public Works will be presented for the Future Neenah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, City Attorney, it doesn't say Board of Public Works. That's all I'm
It
saying.
does not say Board of Public Works, but the language that the paperwork is identical to what's presented before the Board of Public Works.
So legally, would there be any problem with changing it to say Board of Public Works?
No, but it
Thank you.
Alderman Kunz.
Just a verification. The way that memorandum of understanding is written right now, future Neenah would support that. Is that?
The way that it's written right now, it indicates that Neenah and Menasha shall submit a signed contractor's request for payment as approved by the project engineer to future Neenah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the whole document. Memorandum of understanding, that document, you support, I want to ensure that future Neenah is on board with this.
Yes, and Amy Barker's here as well, but I've reviewed this with her multiple times.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, we can move that item up. If you like, but Alderman Bates?
Yeah, I was going to say, because I have questions, and I'll wait till the question comes to the floor.
Okay. We'll probably, let's do the consent agenda. Item number 8 is a consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, voice vote's okay. All in favor of approval of the consent agenda will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That's passed unanimous. Item, President Stevenson, you want to move that item up?
You can, sure. I'll move to amend the agenda to deal with Roman numeral 9-7 at this time.
Second.
There's a motion in a second to rearrange the agenda tonight to take up item number 9-7. And this will be reported out by Chairman Paulno. All in favor of rearranging the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That's so ordered. Alderman Paulno.
Committee recommends council approve the Loop the Lake Memorandum of Understanding with Future Neenah Incorporated and the City of Menasha, subject to the addition of a fiduciary duty clause in Section 3, second paragraph, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Paulno, seconded by Alderman Erickson. Discussion or questions? Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Could you tell me where in our packet this the updated memorandum of understanding is?
the word just came in today. I can put it up on the screen, but the clause, the fiduciary duty clause, was added, agreed to be added.
Okay, I just would like to actually see it.
I'm assuming this is the same document that was in the finance.
Jim and future Neenah, I think, just got together.
Yeah, I guess Alderman Kunz's question was, is it the same document that we were considered in committee?
It is the same document with the exception of fiduciary duty.
That was acted on in committee.
Wasn't in committee.
That wasn't requested by the committee. That came to the committee with that language in it.
Yeah.
And then you voted on it, right?
Correct.
You can find that language in
Finance?
Finance.
Finance Personnel Committee agenda, November 27th.
That language came to committee, as I recall, and the committee voted on adding that language.
No.
Came to us with that red.
Recommendation. That language.
Yes, as an add-on to the original.
That's
document.
correct.
That was moved and seconded to include it into the document that we're considering right now.
And it is in the agreed document as agreed to between city staff and future Neenah. So the agreed on document meets the committee's re requirement that it was recommended before the council tonight.
So it's on the screen right now in the middle of the screen. No? Alderman Coons?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to take this opportunity while future Neenah's here to thank future Neenah for helping to make Loop the Lake happen by raising over $1 million. I mean, it just flows off the tongue too easy, $1 million, but it's a huge chunk of money, and one that does not go unnoticed. So at least I want to say thank you. I love the partnership. I happen to be not only a supporter of future Neenah, but Loop the Lake, as I imagine many people are. And I'm glad to see this going forward. And I do appreciate the work you've put into this for both Neenah and Menasha and the Fox Valley. So thank you.
Thank you. Questions or any additional questions or anything? Alderman Paulno.
Just to clarify, I pull it up from because I don't see it in the packet, at least the electronic packet, so I pull it up from our committee. And the verbiage I was discussing relative to, it says there were a disbursement of funds and the basis of the procedure. It's a process thing with me. It says, Menasha and Neenah shall submit a signed contractor's request for payment approved by the project engineer at FNI. That's to FNI. And just as a process thing, if it's the understanding that the Board of Public Works, that would be submitted to the Board of Public Works, to have a mechanism, I think is important, because the project engineer can change, things can change, and so where does that take place if the process flow on a legal document is spelled out, and in the very nature of it is the Board of Public Works, which makes sense to me. I don't understand why we wouldn't spell that out. So, City Attorney, I'll ask you again, because you said it's basically the same. So, would there be a negative to add that verbiage in there?
I don't understand what the value of the additional verbiage is, because this describes the exact mechanism that is presented before the Board of Public Works. It's not contingent on approval of the Board of Public Works. The money comes from future Neenah with the same documentation that's presented to the Board of Public Works. So I don't know what it is that you're looking for to add on to that.
Well, first, I was asking if there was a negative to it. Is there a negative to doing that as a mechanism? From the outside looking in.
Well, that issue has not been brought up with the folks from future Neenah.
Okay.
If that is not objectionable, but the negative here is that this has already been reviewed by the City of Menasha with the language as is presented before the Finance and Personnel Committee, as well as the council here. So we would be talking about having to go back to the Menasha Council and future Neenah with that change.
But it is the understanding that all this was routed through the Board of Public Works, and it's not not Park and Rec. It's not. I mean, I'm just saying process-wise, from the outside looking in, what is the mechanism? That's my question.
In terms of the approval for the payment to the contractor, that always goes through Board of Public Works as required by ordinance.
But I guess I'm not clear on that, because we've also said that once a project is in Park and Rec, in their realm, then it's all administered and done by Park and Rec. Hence why I want to be clear.
Since the Board of Public Works was created, the Board of Public Works approves Park and Rec contract payments as well. It has.
Okay. Any payments, the understanding of the Board of Public Works, but it's not spelled out here, but
it's by ordinance.
That contracts are. This is all payment. Okay. All right.
Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. I did find it. It's page 71 of the November 27th Finance and Personnel Committee, page 71 of 125, and it is highlighted that way. And I just wanted to say thank you to Attorney Healy for coming in. And I understand the difference between it's implied and we would all assume that, but having it in writing just makes everybody more comfortable, and I appreciate your effort on this. Thank you.
Alderman Coons?
Sorry, Mayor, I couldn't let that one go by. I get it, the fiduciary piece is in there. I get the reluctance too. It's a little bit like putting a clause in here saying, oh, and by the way, the taxpayer, the city won't misuse taxpayer money. It's implied by saying so, it almost makes it sound like we might. And so I can understand the reluctance for adding something that, by saying it, almost makes it questionable. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It's not always the best thing to try to word everything and cover everything, because sometimes that meaning gets misconstrued. But
anyone else? Okay. I just want to add a couple things here. Just want to say, with regards to the language, I mean, this council usually crosses their T's and dots their I's. And I know a certain alderman who makes sure we do that all the time, Alderman Coons. And so there's no agenda here or anything. We have a wonderful partnership with Future Neenah. This community is very lucky to have a driver that is the engineer of so many activities in the downtown area, so many of the, there's a reason why our downtown is at 96% occupancy on average. I don't know, it's 98% average occupancy. So we have had a long-standing partnership with Future Neenah. They have taken the lead, I believe, in other fundraising activities for the city of Neenah, like Shattuck Park. And so we're pretty lucky to have that. And I talk about it all the time on the radio and talk to a lot of people about that. The question is whenever you work with government, transparency, and we have to do things a certain way differently than private sector does. So it was a pleasure working, with Amy, with Megan, and making sure the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted. So we just want to protect ourselves. I will also say this. This city has recently been in an agreement, a partnership with our friends to the north, and we signed a lot of documents. And in a lot of people's minds, we left things a little bit loose, maybe, potentially. And we are finding out with that partnership with the exhibition center that maybe things weren't as well written as they could have been in our minds. And this council has recently taken some actions to say that, we're in full support of that project, just like we are this project. But we want to protect the taxpayer. We want to make sure that the dollars are and we trust people and all that, but recently we've kind of been, in a lot of people's minds, we've been bitten a little bit. So, and I don't want that to be cast any way upon this, because in my mind, Future Neenah has done a wonderful job of getting these funds that were one part of the project. The state of Wisconsin, the city of Neenah, city of Menasha, were all partnerships. When we put this together, and quite honestly, when I helped put this together and sat down with Mike Easker and Chris Hayes and Mike Kading and Todd Stevenson, and we talked about how we're going to, make this work and how we're going to pay for it. So there's a lot of money involved in this, almost $4 million. And as I understand it, I think I heard the number over 450 donors. Is that correct? So over 450 donors stepped up to the plate. I've heard Amy say many of them very small donors, less than $100. So that shows you kind of the number and the commitment from the community. We had a wonderful concert on Arrowhead Park to promote this thing, and a few hundred people showed up, and we're throwing tens and $20 bills in the bucket. So a lot of effort has been put forth by Future Neenah and by the city of Neenah, and a lot of people, including our state legislators and that. So we appreciate and we value our relationship, and it would have been very difficult to do this project without them, and vice versa. We do a lot with future Neenah. In the budget that we just passed, there's dollars set aside to help contribute towards the concerts that they put on and that. Probably not enough. They'd like more, I'm sure. But we try to make sure, and I try to make sure, that we hold up our, duty to help them make this community a better place. And so it's a great partnership, and I hope it continues for a long time. Anyone else? And I do want to say thank you, both you and to the future Neenah and the board. And I think I did that. I was on the radio the other day, and I talked about it and thanked them on the radio because we are lucky to have them as part of our team. Bill?
Just a quick question. If there's a dispute of, if the perception on one side is one way and the other side is a different way, how is that resolved? If there's, if future Neenah says, okay, we don't think this falls in the parameters, the understanding.
We're going to arm wrestle. And I think Amy can take me. But I think that's why the language in consultation. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's, I don't expect there to be a dispute. But because we have our responsibilities, we just want to be in consultation with them. If we have an actual dispute, I don't know how that would be done. I think it's not really laid out. We got 2 lawyers in the room.
Well, that's my concern is like this originally started in March and now we're in December because there was disputes and there was disagreement. So that's just on this memorandum of understanding that we've laid out. So without being a mechanism, it's concerning to me that there could be misinterpretations and things go sour when they shouldn't go sour. Legal document.
There are avenues in the law for mediation.
Mediation.
Is that right, Megan?
That's correct.
And that document doesn't specifically say mediation, but the delay in
Can
putting
you come
the
up to
memo-
the microphone because the people at home, thank you.
Everyone at home is watching. The delay wasn't necessarily because your wife is probably watching. That's it. No, the delay wasn't necessarily because of problems or disagreements that we had. I would say the biggest delay was because the bid came back, and then it kind of just got put on the back burner. Yeah. Then as soon as we had our joint council meeting, we sent it around again. We met, and then we put out another draft. Then there was Thanksgiving, and so there really wasn't
and a baby.
Yeah, a baby. But there really wasn't a delay because of any misunderstanding or any disagreement. I don't foresee any problems in the future. There are mechanisms in the law to do mediation. And honestly, with a 35-year history, I think we've been able to work everything out.
Right.
So,
Council President Stevenson, you have a comment?
Thank you, Mayor. Megan just kind of summed up what I was going to say. I wouldn't describe, from what I know about last year, as a series of conflicts and division. It was positions on both sides of the issue. Not that there was a huge issue, and we worked the issue out, and we're here tonight ready to pass it. And that's how I would expect that we would deal with any issue that came up in the future regarding it, the worthiness of a payment or something like that. We would do what we did in this process, and we would discuss it, talk about it, go back, regroup, come back, and do what's right for the community.
I actually think it speaks volumes that we got this far in a project, in a partnership, without a legal document.
Right.
If there had been a history of problems, you never would have started the project without that. So, and next time, let's do it on the front end instead of the back end.
I also point out that in the past, these arrangements, there never have been an agreement before, so it's worked out well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, well said. Thank you. And we consult often, and I know Director Hayes, Director Kading, we're consulting often. When we thought about buying the house on the north side, we called them right away to see what they thought. Arrowhead Park. There's a lot of consultations, I think, between us that go on behind the scenes often. So they're our partner, and we want to make sure that they know what's going on, and we want to make sure we know what's going on. So I think it was more just a whole bunch of things, the gym surgery, just all kinds of things that went on. Okay? Good, thank you, Alderman Stevenson. So there's a motion and a second to approve the memorandum, the Loop the Lake Memorandum of Understanding with future Neenah and the City of Menasha, subject to the addition of that fiduciary duty clause in Section 3, second paragraph. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor will vote aye. Let's try it.
Roll.
All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine.
I think we have to sign it again.
Yeah. It's just they have to sign in
It's-
and just,
Making you sign
That's
it.
fine.
Something's a glitch in this system here tonight, so.
go to the,
The system is, all
please sign in through the roll call system, please.
right, first we're going to have you sign in.
Groundhog Day.
Still 9 members present. Okay, all in favor of the motion by Alderman Paul No will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0. Thank you very much. All right, we will go back to item number 9, reports of standing committees and consideration thereof, the regular public services and safety committee meeting of November 28th, 2017. Chairperson Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Regular service, Public Service and Safety Committee meeting of November 28, 2017. The minutes can be found on the city website. The committee recommends council adopt Resolution 2017-30 for installation of curb, gutter, and pavement on Cecil Street from Oak to Congress and Adams Street from Railroad to Church, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates. Is there
Second.
a second? There's a second by Alderman Paulno. All in favor, I'm sorry, any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor will vote aye, all opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council adopt Resolution 2017-31 for hot mix asphalt resurfacing construction on Andrew Avenue from Geiger to Main, Richard Avenue from Geiger to Main, Geiger Street from Green Bay to Western, and Whiting Court at Tuller. And I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor will vote aye, all opposed will vote no using the roll call machine, please. That motion passes 9-0.
The committee recommends council adopt Resolution 2017-32 for sanitary sewer lateral construction on Cecil Street from Oak to Congress, Andrew Avenue from Geiger to Main, Richard Avenue from Geiger to Main, Adams Street from the railroad to the church, and Geiger Street. And I would so move.
A motion by Alderman Bates.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Any discussion on this motion? Being none, all in favor will vote aye, all opposed will vote no. That motion also passes 9-0.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chairperson Bates. As a side note on all of them, just so committee or council members know, the postcards, I believe, I know did go out to those homeowners, so they've all been made aware about a week ago, I believe, at least, that their street is scheduled to be done. So postcards did go out to them early, like we instituted that policy about a year ago. So Judy got those out, so thanks. Item number, regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of November 27th, 2017. Chairperson Paulno.
Item number 1, committee recommends council approve the salary plan movement, cost of living increases, exemplary performance awards, merit increases, and midpoint adjustments. And I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Paulno, seconded by Alderman Erickson. Our HR director is here if anyone has any questions. Anyone have any comments, questions? Being no comments or questions, all in favor of that motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
Item number 2, committee recommends council adopt resolution number 2017-33, amending the fee schedule of the city of Neenah to provide for an increase in public works, street, right-of-way excavation permit fees for 2018 through 2022, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Paulno, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Their discussion. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council authorize the sale of public land as described in Exhibit A to Wisconsin Electric Power for $1, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Paulno, seconded by Alderman Coons. Don't play Jeopardy. You just gotta get
I'm good at that.
Gotta get that button quicker.
Family Feud.
Alderman Coons seconds it. Any questions or discussion on that motion? Alderman Lindrum.
Thank you, Mayor. Could I ask Director Hayes, sorry, I didn't
Sure.
warn you, to describe this just a little bit? It's not very clear on the agenda.
You got to catch me up on which item I'm on because I'm working on something else.
Okay, the Wisconsin Electric Power Company
I'm going to
sale
defer.
of public land for $1.
I can defer to our resident expert, Deputy Director Schmidt, if you'd like. He
Sure.
has all the details.
Just for people watching at home, it's not that clear on the agenda. Thank you.
This was land that the city acquired back in the 1950s from the predecessor to Eggers Industry for a potential water tower or water reservoir. That never came to fruition. We sold a portion of that property to We Energies or its predecessor back in the 60s, and there was a remnant piece that remained. It was a piece of land that's roughly 15 feet wide and 122 feet long. The city has no use for the land. City Council, I don't know, probably about a month ago, declared it excess property. So we've recommended that this small piece of land be transferred or sold to We Energies for their expansion of their electric substation that they're doing there.
Can you tell everyone exactly where it is and if any of the neighbors will notice any difference?
Sure. This is land that is along Northwestern Avenue at the northern edge of city boundaries and actually just north of where their existing utility substation is. So there should be no notice. In fact, We Energies is proposing to build a new substation just to the east of their current location, so it'll actually be a little bit further and probably a little bit more hidden than it currently is.
A little bit more inland, and
Correct.
then they'll be subject to certain landscaping rules
Yeah,
too?
their site plan has been approved for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Director Schmidt. Any other questions, comments? Being none, all in favor of the motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 9-0.
Committee recommends council adopt resolution number 2017-34, approving the Neenah Central City Business Improvement District 2018 operating plan, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Paulno, seconded by Alderman Erickson. Discussion? All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using. That motion passes 9-0.
Number 5, committee recommends council proceed with the acquisition of 207 Smith Street at the agreed upon price of $89,000, and I would so move.
Motion by Alderman Paulno,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Lindrum. Discussion. Question. Alderman Paulno?
Yeah, I voted against this in committee. All for development, I think, but I'm against the term land banking or, acquiring property, the wish of development. Know of any specific plan that we have. I know I've heard alluded to items and possibles, which I understand is part of that business. But with this TIF 10, the expenditures we have, I'm concerned with the TIF 10, and I know it's not an exact science, but at this time, I don't think it's a wise move to proceed with the purchase of 207 Smith Street. That's why I'd be voting against this. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Alderman Lindrum.
I'd like to ask again, maybe Director Hayes, unless you want to defer it again to Brad, your reasoning, I guess, behind purchasing this plot since we don't need it immediately.
Okay.
Although Brad can probably give you a more eloquent answer, I'll try and attempt to answer one. But I think there's when we went into the project, as you know, we had a need to create parking to support the project, and not knowing the timing of who would be willing to sell when, we approached all property owners at the same time. These folks have taken a little longer to come to the table. I believe there is some, in addition to land banking, as Alderman Paulno has indicated, whatever we want to call that, there is some, there certainly is a change in the landscape in that neighborhood. So property owners may feel like we are artificially reducing their property values, so that if we stepped out of the picture and said we're not interested, who else would step in and acquire that property? And if they did, would they acquire it at some reduced value? So I think there's somewhat of a responsibility on our part to go, if we have willing sellers to acquire, in addition to the, again, whether you call it land banking or not, the ability to package and assemble those parcels for future redevelopment, should that opportunity occur in the future. I believe it's in the best interest of the city to go ahead with the acquisition, as I would support other similar acquisitions in an immediate neighborhood.
And I always like to just confirm and reaffirm for everyone that these were all willing sellers.
That is absolutely correct.
Alderman Kunz.
Thank you, Mayor. My quick response was just going to be that, to me, it's a couple of choices. One is we can go about this way: when people want to sell, we purchase it, or we wait till someone comes along and we force them out. We didn't want to do that, nor we ever want. It's not something we wanted to do. So this seems to be a good way of doing it. When they come available, purchase them. Because if someone all of a sudden said, I want to develop there, and we went, well, we never bought those when they were up for sale, so now we need them, it would put everyone in a really bad situation. So I think it's develop land that you have, not land that you don't.
All right. Anyone else? Alderman Palmer, go ahead.
Just a point of order. I think the motion was pulled off, not on the board anymore, just for clarity.
Still on the floor, whether it's...
Yeah, okay. Just want to point that out for the machine.
Whether it's on the screen or not.
Okay. Let's just point it out when we vote. I think, and I've thought for a while that, Alderman Kunz had made a good point. We should go with the land we have, and I think we have vast tracts of land in the city, vast areas in the city that I would like to see us channel our energies in for development. I know that's not an easy road. It's not the perfect road, but we have industrial land I haven't heard talked about in quite a while. We have, over at the Marathon gas station, I haven't heard talked about in a while. I don't know what's going on with every place else in our city, and it seems like the energies always are channeled in the TIF, which I understand, but it seems like that's kind of due solely, and I'm just concerned that we put all our attention there, all our eggs in that basket, and concerning that I think that we can buy land and development will come.
Great, thank you. I would just add this. I think this is prudent to continue buying these. If I'm not mistaken, this entire area 15 years ago, 12 years ago, was what this council identified this area as a redevelopment zone and put, Chris, Director Hayes, is that correct?
That's correct.
So this council went on record and told the homeowners and the businesses in that area that this area is identified as a redevelopment zone. And with that came some limitations for the homeowner and the residential and the property owner. And as someone who, had property in that area, I was told I had to get approval if I was going to make major structural changes. I had to get approval if I was going to put siding on, if I was going to improve my property, because we went on record at one point. I don't, this council did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but
the city sent a message to that area that area has been identified. So I think it's important that, as Alderman Coons points out, when they do come to us and say we're ready to sell, I think we have an obligation almost to follow through on what the city told those people some time ago. So, but I understand what you're saying, and I will also say this: each and every day there is discussions going on in this building, or with developers, or with property owners throughout this city on opportunities, whether it be on First Street, Neenah, Junkyard, Commercial Street. I know community development, the mayor's office. There are discussions happening, but you got to have a dance partner, and you got to have a developer. You got to have someone who's saying, yeah, I want to develop that green space on First Street by the railroad tracks. And I just haven't found that person yet, neither has Director Hayes, or the additional area out in the industrial park that we bought south of GG, or Commercial Street. But each and every day, there are retention visits going on. Director Hayes and I just went on a retention visit with one of our major local businesses. We also visited a downtown business who has told us in that meeting, I think I mentioned this to everyone, that they will bring in more employees. They have room for 300-400 more employees, but they're not going to do it without parking. So, even though we made a big, push on parking in that, we still have a ways to go. So I fully understand what you're saying in regards to TIF 10 and all that, Alderman Paulno, and this isn't directed at you, but when these opportunities come up, I think it's prudent for us to look at them and decide that for the future, in that area at least, where we've identified boundaries for a redevelopment zone, that we follow through. Okay, anyone else? Any other comments? If not, there was a motion. In a second, do you have those? Who they were? Okay, Alderman Paulno and Lundrum made the motions. All in favor of that motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine.
Second.
You have to put the motion. Okay, Alderman Paulno moves. Seconded by Alderman Lundrum. Thanks for pointing that out too. All those in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 8 ayes, 1 no.
Item number 6, committee recommends council authorize utilization of remaining funds from the 2017 community development vehicle purchase to retrofit a department vehicle with a hitch trailer to facilitate mobility of the city's gasoline improver. I would so move, and I guess I would ask Director Hayes to quantify the dollar amount because I didn't have it listed.
I believe the remaining balance was $2,050.
Thank you.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Boyette.
No.
Is that okay?
Rock on.
Tammy, are you okay with making a motion? Sure. Okay. Alderman Erickson moves, seconded by Alderman Boyette. Is there any discussion?
If I could, we have, since the committee meeting last week, I've had my staff looking at that. Actually, it's Jerry's staff. And we may be in a situation where we may go away from the trailer hitch and go to an actual trailer, an enclosed trailer that would accompany this. At this point, we think we're still well below the $2,000, the $2,050 that's in the account. But because of the concern with this type of machinery and quite honestly, more importantly, for the ease of loading and unloading, it may be better to have a system that would put it into a trailer. It is, as I'm not all that familiar with this piece of equipment, but it's basically a steel box that's 2x3 with a large calibrated funnel that goes above it, and you essentially dispense the fuel into the funnel and make sure that when you pump a gallon, you get a gallon that gets put into the tank, and ultimately the tank gets emptied back into the large underground tanks that service the pumps. I don't know if that matters to the committee. I'm sure it does, but I wanted you to be aware of that's probably the route we were looking at this point.
Alderman Boyette.
So then this motion needs to be reworded because it's not the trailer hitch that we discussed.
I would let Jim comment on that. It does specify a trailer hitch. We would certainly have the hitch.
Well, we're looking at a different product now.
That's correct. That is correct, and that's why I wanted the council to be aware. If you would like, you could. Well,
It would be appropriate for there to be an amendment.
Alderman Pauno?
Just for clarification, Director Hayes, if we went forward with this hitch, this would still be a utilized item, and then you're saying that in the future you would get a trailer, or what exactly?
In lieu of the hitch.
Well, the motion as it stands, or the item that was reported to council, was the hitch that obviously gets put on the vehicle, and then the hitch trailer, which is the trailer that gets put into the receiver on the hitch on the vehicle. This would still have the hitch on the car, and instead of a hitch trailer, we'd have an enclosed trailer.
We're just talking about a different kind of trailer.
That's correct. It's much more extensive trailer, but yes.
We're still just repurposing $20,050. Okay, fine with the way it is.
Okay. Alderman Bates?
With that, I would like to amend the motion to say from a hitch and a hitch trailer to a hitch and a trailer. And I would so move.
Okay,
Second.
There's an amendment by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Paulno. Change the wording, or make an addition to the motion.
Subtract hitch, correct?
Clarification. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Alderman Bates? Okay. Is there, all in favor of the amendment to the motion will signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? That's so ordered? Or do you want to vote?
Now you have to vote on the amendment,
Okay.
on the amended motion.
Is there any more discussion on the amended motion? Being none, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no using the roll call machine. That motion passes 8-1. And your report?
Mayor, we have to vote on the amended motion. Or did we? That was the amendment we're voting on.
That was a voice vote.
Okay.
I did a voice vote on the amendment and then a roll call on the amended.
Okay. So yes, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. We dispensed earlier with item number 7. So we move on to item number 10, special committees and liaisons. The regular planning commission meeting was canceled. The landmarks commission, Alderman Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. The Landmarks Commission meeting in November was canceled.
Neighborhood business groups, Alderman Lang, the Business Improvement District Board.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. The last bid board meeting was held on November 21st. The bid operating plan was approved at that meeting and then approved in finance and then approved tonight through the council. Ribbon cutting ceremony was held for the Doubletree on November 28th. So that is now open. Also, future Neenah's Very Neenah Christmas was held on December 1st. It was a very successful event with huge crowds and just a great event for the community. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Berkshire Mahler Museum, Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Berkshire Mahler Museum had their holiday open house last Saturday as part of the Celebrate the Season in Neenah event, which happened in all throughout Neenah. And I'm pleased to report that they had over 590 people attend on that day. So it was a huge success. If you are looking for a great activity, I would encourage you to visit the Berkshire Mahler Museum of Glass website. There are classes available, and the current exhibit is on that website. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report. Report from the Library Board is also Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Library Board met on November 15th, and I have passed out information on winter events for youth and families at the Neenah Public Library. There are a number of events that are coming up. The Neenah Library was part of the Celebrate the Season in Neenah event with the Polar Express event, and was very, very successful. And I'd like to expand on the Celebrate the Season event that was held this past weekend. The following organizations were involved: the Neenah Library, Future Neenah, City Hall, the Neenah School District, the Berkshire Mahler Museum, the Neenah Historical Society, the YMCA, the Neenah Police Department, and there were horse-drawn carriage rides in the downtown area that were very, very popular. This was a very popular event. I was at City Hall, and the Park and Rec Department made these really cute little ornaments. The Neenah school system had 3 different ornaments for kids to make, and we were busy all day. I know the Berkshire Mahler Museum, the library was busy. The Neenah Police Department sponsored a poetry contest, and the winners were at the library on Sunday afternoon, and their families, and it was just the best event that you could possibly imagine. The winners received poetry books, and their families were there, and they were so proud of their kids, and they read their poems. So I would like to thank everybody who participated in this event, and hopefully that will continue for years to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your report. Any petitions? No petitions. Council directives. Are there any council directives to discuss? Any unfinished business? Unfinished business, Alderman Paulno.
Yeah, I got a reminder in my app here, and I find it very disconcerting, but I'm bringing this up again. Specific, I guess I'd aim this question again at Director Kaiser. My notes show that this will be my 10th time that I've asked you about 308 Caroline Street, and the first time I asked was October 12th, 2016, And in regard to the drainage situation, so.
Yeah, we received the televising reports. So took a look through the main report and the lateral. Both of those appear good. We checked out the storm sewer line just to see if we had any loss of material there. That appears to be okay. So at this point, the settlement in the road most likely is just some movement from the original backfilling in the trench. We did shoot the curb line again and checked with those elevations with the elevations that we had last time, and there was movement, slight movement again in that curb line, and that's really kind of where the basis of our concern with doing any sort of replacement lies is, are we going to spend $3,000 replacing a chunk of curb that is still moving? So we also looked at grinding the flow line. We looked at injecting foam into that curb line to make an adjustment. Neither of those, after talking with contractors, appear to be viable options. My preference would be to shoot it again next year and see if we have movement again. And if we do, then we'll have to see where we can take things. If we don't, we could look at replacing that section of curb. It's more than just a chunk of curb in front of the driveway. Because of the flatness of that area, we have an extensive section of curb and gutter that we'd have to replace, basically the whole frontage at 308 Caroline Street, in order to attempt to get the grade possible to go from our high point, which is more or less east of his driveway, to that inlet, which is closer to the west side of his lot.
So we don't really have an answer after a year plus. When's the last time you talked to Mr. Moe, or anybody from the city?
I haven't talked to Mr. Moe in some time. I certainly will make contact with him again and just kind of let him know that he's still on our radar. It certainly hasn't been forgotten. We just have not developed a solution that will actually work out there at this point.
Do you think he feels that way?
That what?
That you've not forgotten about him?
He may.
Okay.
He may.
I mean, it's frustrating to me because as well as I understand it's challenging, but when we're not communicating with you, I mean, he paid X amount for the street to be, we're right in the midst of that whole discussion. And I look at him as like a customer for the city. We don't communicate with him and we don't really have a solution. And like I said, this is the 10th time I've asked. So, now you're saying, well, we're going to look at it again in the summer and we might come up with a solution that we don't know. So concerning.
Well, I guess I'm always reluctant to throw good money after bad. And that's basically where I'm afraid we are at this point on that situation. If we can confirm that we can throw good money and get a good solution, I'm more than happy to proceed. But I will make contact with him.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Boyette?
So I have a question. I was confused on the last vote. How do I undo my vote and change it to a yes?
Ask unanimous consent to change your vote on which question?
When we were talking about the trailer and the hitch,
The trailer?
I meant to vote yes for both of those.
Alderman Boyette asks unanimous consent to change your vote from no to aye on that question. Is there any objection? That's ordered. Any other unfinished business? I just have a couple things before we go into closed session. I just want to inform the citizens, if they may be watching, because I have been getting a lot of people asking, and you may have too. Abe Lincoln, who's downtown, Neenah, if Abe Lincoln is now being on his way to Colorado, I believe, for repairs. Abe, as the statute, along with the bench that he sits on, was hit by a alleged drunk driver, correct? did I say that correctly? Alleged drunk driver, but a driver who lost control of their vehicle and took out the statute part of it. So he's on his way to Colorado for repairs. So in case anyone asks you, and I want to point out and thank publicly Joni Hines and her daughter. Joni and her daughter decorated the real Christmas tree that we have in the rotunda that Schrader's Evergreens has given us. So that was very nice of them. And Joni did a great job along with her daughter in decorating it. I also want to say also thank you to all the groups that Alderman Erickson and Alderman Lane pointed out that took part in the very successful weekend. The weather cooperated. I mean, it was just Friday night was great. Police told me they were estimating about 7,000, 6,500 people downtown. Todd can probably tell us because he saw all 6,500 from inside a window. And he did a great job too as Burl Ives in the window. So it was very, very good. So Future Neenah, once again, another great partnership with Future Neenah. The Arts Council, I want to say thank you to them and Jane with the Historical Society and the Octagon and all the different groups that put on just a fabulous night and a great Saturday. My grandkids were down here and did the carriage rides and everything, and it was a lot of fun, and it was just, I'm getting nothing but rave reviews from people as I meet them in the grocery store and around town, and a couple of people stopped by my office to thank us for what we did, and I told them that we're just a partner in this, that the merchants downtown and downtown Neenah and Future Neenah really do a bang-up job. There are suggestions, always to make it better. The police department, I think this is, if you didn't notice, this was the first year that we actually, the police department had a little bit better plan. They're taking all these, whenever you have a large crowd in one area, they're taking this more serious than ever before. And that was the reason for garbage trucks. I had a couple people ask on the west end of Wisconsin Avenue. And it's just to better protect the people within that area of a errant vehicle coming through or things like that. So we closed off the west end, and we also closed off the east end, but not as secure because one thing you don't want to do is box everyone in either. But we are taking these things serious, and the police department is developing plans, and along with the fire department, to make sure we have a safe event along with a fun event. So I just wanted to say thank you. The bad news, Director Easker tells me that tax bills. Mike, why don't you give the bad news? Go ahead.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Actually, we've been getting a lot of calls and questions about when tax bills will be out. They are at the printer as we speak. We are hoping that they will be in the mail Friday at the latest Saturday, so we should expect those to be showing up in mailboxes Saturday or Monday, and we can now gear up for the Christmas rush, and I hope the mayor has cookies as in previous years.
Cookies and juice and coffee if you come in here to pay your tax bills. And then lastly, I don't do this a lot, but today I said goodbye to my uncle Claude Feedy, and I just wanted to. A lot of people in Neenah knew him. He was a graduate in Neenah, lived here a long time. A lot of people knew my uncle Claude, and unfortunately he passed on today. And so I just came from the funeral home and a pallbearer, and he's a great guy, and I want to thank him for his service to the United States Navy, and rest in peace to my uncle Claude. And there'll be anyone else? All right. Director Hayes.
I just have one quick thing. I informed the council a few weeks ago about the opening of the Pendleton Park, the first building, and the access on the Pendleton Road. We have sent a postcard notification to some of the neighbors in that area. So if you you get calls, you know that they were notified of that driveway opening on the Pendleton. It is intended, and the developer and the city will make every effort to limit that access to only tenants, but that driveway
And
will be...
not to construction vehicles.
That's correct. That's correct. And I believe that driveway will be opening here in the next few days. But the notification did go out, so particularly Alderman in District 3, if you get calls, you know there was a notification made.
Okay, anyone else? Council President Stevenson.
Just a quick reminder to the citizens and recognize the Santa float that the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue Union firefighters are putting on again this year. They started this week, and they will be running that for 10 days, ending on December 15th. So check their website, and you can find out when it'll be in your neighborhood. And thank you to the firefighters for doing that.
Very much so. They and thanks to the communities of Neenah Menasha, because they needed additional dollars for a new sound system, and a couple local businesses stepped up, and a lot of people stepped up with donations, so they got their new sound system, and they'll be doing their rounds, as Alderman Stevenson says. And from what I understand, there's going to be a guest appearance by a Santa in this very room. Is going to make a guest appearance on the float one night, so that'll be exciting. Goes from Burl Ives to Santa, just like that. So, all right. Is there a motion?
I'll move to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 1985, Parent 1, Parent B. Confer with the city attorney, who will render oral and written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the city with respect to the Central State Law versus the Neenah litigation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to convene into closed session. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That's unanimous. We're in closed session. We'll take a 5-minute break while Dan sets up the computer. Scott, thanks for coming. Congratulations.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin, Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.